Hi, and thanks for joining me for this short video where I'll explain about my wedding photography. Wedding photography is my absolute passion, and it's my passion because in 10 years time, 20 years time, maybe even 50 years time, for your golden wedding anniversary, you will look at photographs of your wedding day, and I will have taken those, and I will have given you something which will last your entire lifetime, and that really gives me a kick, and I just love doing it. So that's my motivation. Below this video you'll find some links to my wedding brochure, which explains about my wedding photography in print and photos, but also explains about the 3 packages that I offer. Now, the 3 packages are just somewhere to start. Your wedding is unique. What I'm going to do for you will be unique. It's not fitted into some box that I happen to offer you. When we talk about your wedding, we will decide between us exactly what you want photographed, how you want it photographed, what you want to get afterwards. But we've got to start somewhere, so as I say, there's a link to that brochure below. There's also a contact button if you want to get in touch with me, and I hope you will, but it's that down below as well. Before I tell you about my actual wedding photography, can I just mention that for both people who have booked me and for people who haven't booked me for their wedding, for engaged couples, I offer a free engagement shoot. And the reason I offer this is I think it's a great way for you to meet someone who could be your wedding photographer before you actually commit to booking that person. Not many photographers do this, and if they do, they normally charge for it. But I believe that you ought to have the opportunity to meet me in person, to see how I work, what photos I get, before you make such an important decision about booking your wedding photography. As I say, these photos are going to be with you for your entire life. You don't want to make a mistake choosing the person who's going to do this for you. So this gives you that opportunity with no risk, no obligation. If you'd like to do that, just hit the contact button, let me know, we'll book it, we'll arrange it, and we'll go from there. Briefly talk about my style. My style is to give you what you want, basically. I do have my style, okay, but this is a business. I'm doing this for you, and therefore what you want takes precedence over what I want to give you, if that makes sense. If you want formal type of photography from maybe like 50 years ago, and lots of black and white photos, then I will do that for you. I can do anything. I can do anything. I'll do that for you. If you want lots of kind of high fashion, really kind of in your face, really sharp, punchy photos, I'll do that for you. Whatever you want is what I will give you. Now, that said, I do have a style, or a way of getting whatever photos it is you want. And if you say to me, do the photos you think will be good photos, what I would do is 80% of the photos I will take will be documentary photos. So these are, I don't call them candid. If you do research about wedding photography, you'll see the term candid wedding photography. I'm not sure what that is. I think what they mean is that someone puts a 70 to 200 millimeter long lens on their camera, goes and stands over in the corner of the room and just stands there and takes some photos. That's not what I do. That doesn't get the feeling of your wedding into the photos. So I now use a short lens, 35mm, which means I have to get close to people. I have to be involved in the action, and I will do that. I won't get in people's way or make people trip over me, but I will get photos that give the feeling of what it was like to be there. So they're documentary, not necessarily candid. I'm sometimes a little bit in the way, but not to a problematic extent. So also about 20% of the photos I will take, maybe less, will be staged photos. These are photos where I've selected a particular location because of its lighting, because of the background, that it will make a great place to do photos of you. I'll set up whatever lighting is required, I'll make sure I've got the right lens on the camera, everything else. I'll call you away from your wedding just for a few minutes and we'll get staged photos at that point. These aren't posed. I will do a little bit of arranging of who stands where, who looks where, and that's it. I then want you to come out in those photos. If you're happy, giggly, smiling, laughing all the time, that's what will come out. If you're more romantic and cuddly and smoochy, then that will come out. It's about getting photos of you, not me creating something that isn't real. So that's what we do for those shots. And this will happen throughout the day, probably 3 or 4 times. I'll see a nice location, maybe indoors, maybe outdoors, and we'll get some great shots there. So let's run through the day. Assuming it's a full day's wedding, I would start with bride's prep. This may be at your house, at a hotel, at a venue, whatever. And I will come along at a point where you've got most of your makeup done, most of your hair done, and you're happy to have some photos taken. You probably don't want photos taken straight out of the shower, so we'll let you get some way through your prep before I start taking photos. These are 90% documentary photos. I'm just there, moving around the room, getting shots of you and your bridesmaids, whoever's getting ready there, and get those shots. There'll be a few where I'll just ask, well, maybe can you move there a bit, maybe can you do that a bit. At the end, when you've got your dress on and the bridesmaids have all got their dresses on, we'll do a few shots that are fun, that tell whatever story you want told. If you want full
photo of you and your bridesmaids arranged in a particular pose, I can think of some shots out of Vanity Fair and Harper's Bazaar where you've got bridesmaids and the bride in a particular place, and if you want something like that, we'll create that, we'll do whatever sort of shots you want, which is why it's important to have a consultation so that I know what you want so I can give it to you. So we get prep done, and then I'll try, depends on the time of the day, try and get to the guys to get some shots of the guys with more guy-ish type staged photos. We'll get those done. If you're travelling from where you're getting ready to the ceremony, be it the church or the registry office, you may be travelling in something unusual, bus, horse and carriage, pink limousine, whatever. We'll get some shots of that, obviously, of you both leaving, and providing it's physically possible, I'll get to the reception, to the ceremony before you, get shots of you arriving there as well. Throughout the ceremony, the whole thing is covered, and if I haven't yet mentioned, the whole day is videoed with a static video camera. So there'll be a video camera in the corner of the room during prep, during the ceremony, cake cutting, first dance, speeches, all of those are covered with video, and I create a video, around about 20 minutes, a video stroke slideshow of your day. I think I do it fairly well, tell the whole story of a day in a 20-minute video. This is fairly unique. I don't know of any other wedding photographers who do this. I'm not a videographer, so my main focus is to get the photographs, but at the same time I can set a video camera up, hit the button, let it record. Later on I can then select the parts I want to use for the video. You get the best of both worlds by doing that. Sorry, I digress. So on the ceremony, walking down the aisle, the whole ceremony of course, walking back up the aisle, outside, possibly confetti. That may be at the church or the registry office, it may be later, but confetti. And then groups. Now group shots, everyone I think wants a big group shot of everyone who was at the ceremony, and we'll do that shot of course. And I don't try and arrange who stands where, there's just normally too many people to make that practical. Once we get it down to smaller groups, then I will try and be a little bit creative and get away from the people standing in a straight line, although that can work if it's done properly, but I try and be a bit more creative and try and get more than just boring old people and 6 people standing in a straight line. We'll do a bit more work on that to get some much more interesting shots of groups. Obviously throughout the entire day I'm getting documentary shots, so not necessarily shots that fall into one of these categories where a guest arrives a bit late, a bit flustered. Does it make a good photo? If it does, then I'll get that photo. Moving on later, we'll get the wedding breakfast. Now, I don't think photos of people eating usually makes good shots, so I'll normally skip the actual eating part, but during the breakfast there'll be speeches. Between the courses there may be breaks and people gather and mingle, and again I'll get candid shots of all of that. And then we move on to the evening when more guests will arrive, and we'll probably try and get some shots of you greeting the evening guests. Cake cutting. If confetti didn't happen earlier, we'll try and get confetti. Maybe throwing a bouquet. That can be really good fun. And then moving on finally to the first dance. Depends on the disco and what lighting they've got, what time of day it is, what time of year it is, but that can make some really great dark shots with lots of lights all over the place. But whatever is on offer, I will get some great photos of your first dance, and obviously that's videoed as well and will be incorporated in the video slideshow of your day. And with the Excelsior, the full day all-inclusive package, sometimes I start at 10 o'clock in the morning and finish at 10 o'clock at night. It's all-inclusive, it's the full day, there are no restrictions, I'm there until it's done. Afterwards, from the probably 1,500 photos that I've taken, I'll select 250, something like that. I'll individually edit those 250 photos, and this isn't, for a lot of photographers, this is just a quick click to adjust the exposure or something like that, or maybe a little bit of a crop. I really do try and edit photos to get the absolute best picture I can from what I've captured in the camera. That might mean adjusting the light in a certain part of the image, fuzzing out bits of the image. It can mean 3 or 4 minutes work at least on every image. So it's a big part of what I do to get great photos for you. I'll also create the 20-minute or so video. If you want any special music incorporated in that, I'll build that in as well. All of this is then uploaded to a gallery online. I'll send you a link to the gallery. You can view the pictures and the video. You can download them, you can share them on Facebook, Pinterest, do whatever you like. They're your photos, there's no watermarks, they're all full resolution for you to do with as you please. I'll design a wedding album. I'll ask you to select 30 favourite photos, 30 or 40 favourite photos from the gallery. I'll then create a wedding album based around your 30 or 40 photos. Also included is a canvas print and 3 enlargements, so you can select which photos you like to be enlarged and to go onto the canvas. That's all included as well. I hope by doing all this I will give you memories that literally last a lifetime. So I'm not going to go on anymore. I think that's enough for this video. Down below, wedding brochure. Please get in touch if you've got any questions. If you'd like to book a free engagement shoot, get in touch. If you'd like me to drop round, talk about your wedding, no obligation. Let's do that. Let's get started. Thanks very much for watching. Cheers for now.